good enough.
I'll probably get flack for this, but I just wanted to say one thing and then you guys can go. But I think you've picked Val Kilmer's best role and his worst role.
You might be
It's
right.
not his worst role.
That's just my opinion.
I actually haven't seen that many Val Kilmer movies, but you could be right. You could be right.
Actually, his best role is Top Secret.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a fun movie.
Shut up.
But
the Western bar fight underwater.
Yeah.
No, that was great. And the backward scene with we're way off topic. We just
we're already off topic.
So
that might be a record.
I thought this film it felt kind of by the numbers in terms of being a spy thriller from the 90s, but it had I thought it had some real assets to it. There's some things that are really interesting about this. Like
Do tell.
Well, first of all,
Can you
shooting
tell us?
in Russia back then, 1997.
I wrote that down. Yes,
Yeah, because
It did shoot in Moscow. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. Red Square.
It gave it an amazing amount of verisimilitude. I mean, in terms of like, because you can't do it anymore. You couldn't do it before. There was a narrow window of history where you could actually do this.
Right under Yeltsin.
Yeah, and it probably was. And so that was delightful.
This guy's an asset. I like him in
he's always good.
He's great in everything.
Yep.
No,
everything he's in, I like him.
And the blonde prostitute's his daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I liked her in this.
Yeah, wow.
I did too.
Again, great in everything.
Listen, she seems like a fine person, and I don't know.
Hook her with a
unpopular opinion. Have you ever liked someone, but you think they're a crappy actor? That's Elizabeth Shue to me. I don't think she's ever good, but I like her a lot. I don't know why.
Well, look at that face. She's very
photogenic.
Very photogenic.
I thought she was charming. But it's not about any of those things. This movie is not about any of those things. It is about this.
Yeah, it's about that.
Especially my favorite when he played Tommy Wiseau. This movie is fucking insane.
It is.
I mean,
if you
like, so Jim, Jim or Scott, I do not think I ever saw one. As much as I like a soft spot for Roger Moore as Bond, I don't think I watched one episode of The Saint.
No, neither did I.
Is this movie at all tonally similar to Roger Moore's The Saint show?
I hate to bring in some inside baseball, but if anyone's been watching our Facebook feed, a guy named Dan Bodenheimer has been contributing to it.
Yeah,
I noticed.
Dan Bodenheimer is the former president of the Saints fan club.
I know he's got saint.org.
Yes, he does. He owns saint.org.
Whoa.
And he was, again, he was part of this production. He was consulted. He was in when they were shooting in Oxford. He was there.
Okay.
So he knows a lot about this. So I called him, actually kind of drunk dialed him, but I called him a couple of nights ago, and we talked about it.
Explain yourself, sir.
I've always liked you, man.
I know, but it was fun because we used to work together at the movie theaters. He's a good guy. He really is. But either way, he said that one of the things about this is that they had an idea. Robert Evans, when he came in to do this, had an idea about making a real, honest to God, Saints. Leslie Charteris
being faithful to it. You mean
to it and doing it right and proper. Then they hired Val Kilmer, and I like Val Kilmer as an actor. I think he's really talented, but he's also an extremely powerful at this time, a list actor. So guess what he did to this thing.
So this master of disguise thing is Val.
Yeah, I'm saying that Val Kilmer took this movie and made it his own. Because he could force his will upon the producers as much as he wanted to because he's Val Kilmer, right?
But that's also not even 100% true because there were 2 different studio required reshoots on this movie. They completely changed the ending of the film.
I know the second ending.
2 endings this movie.
They spent, I believe, several $1 million on reshoots for this.
I wouldn't be surprised.
To completely redo the ending because the first ending tested horribly.
Yeah.
Do you know
this is better?
She dies 2/3 of the way through the movie.
There's a vengeance story after that.
Right, and then it's a vengeance story after
which is, I think would have been more emotionally true, if you ask me.
I would have preferred it, honestly, because the romance, the movie swings wildly between, I don't know, whatever the fuck this is, spy shit, and the romance. And by the end, after they arrested the bad guy, we've got 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
Where
Well,
we're going to follow her, and then we get one more from this fucking guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously his.
Well, I'm not saying that Val Kilmer's power was
his favorite because he gets to do it twice.
Yeah, I'm saying Val Kilmer's power was total in this film because he was actually obviously influenced the beginning of it. Working
maybe it's a case of because
later on it's like you're like Val, we can't release this film, we got to reshoot it, and he's like, all right, fine.
This was like the height of his powers, right? In
very
terms
much
of being
very
a star.
much.
I mean, was it though? Because when The Doors was 90.
Or at least he was an A-lister
Okay,
big time at this point.
Listen,
all right,
he turned down being Batman again to do this movie.
See, so there you
that
go.
is absolutely the height of your power.
Came out
when you turn down when you turn down Batman,
a guaranteed moneymaker.
So I think this is
he wanted to be like the
97, right?
Yeah, 97. He wanted to do this because he saw what it did to Connery in the first. He wanted to make the same.
Batman Forever was 95.
Yeah. But anyway, he saw the opportunity to be the ground floor of a new franchise here.
Right.
And that's the thing is he wanted this to be a franchise.
Yeah, right.
He was planning on producing it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was going to basically kick Evans out and take over this franchise and continue making these movies.
But Bob would never go quietly.
And that's why they killed the girlfriend, because you can't have a franchise with a guy who's going to get married and settle down after this adventure.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like maybe there's a small case of like no one's telling him no because he's such a big star right now.
Yeah, maybe.
You can
because
see
every single accent and character is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Everything behind Christmas and Patel was
it's
indulgent.
so bad. It's so bad.
There's also the attitude that in this film that there are spy films, there are James Bond films where James Bond fucks up or he tries to do something and he fails. This felt like Simon Templar always succeeded, always did whatever he wanted. He was always just a whole row of successes.
It was too easy.
He says
that himself, though. He says, "I always get away."
He does.
He does. Like he specifically as a character hangs a lampshade on the fact that he always gets away.
And yeah, that's true.
Then there should have been a moment where he didn't. Was there?
Well, there is a moment where he doesn't, which is when they realize that they're underneath that dude's car,
right?
And he's willing to sacrifice himself for her at that point in time.
Right.
He just ends up having the opportunity to get away from that.
Right.
But the time he doesn't get away is when he allows it to happen.
Right. He's always in charge. He's always that's the thing about it. It's like that kind of drains the drama out of the movie a little bit for me.
Right.
Like if he's always going to be the coolest guy in the room, he's always going to go with everything. Hey, you know what?
This is about the level of the disguises for me by about the second act. It's like, okay, here we like it's like Roger Moore in the fucking clown suit. Like
I think his disguises are better than his accents.
It's strained credulity, and then it's strained credulity, and it's strained, and by the end, I'm like,
do you like any Superman movies?
No.
I'm not talking to anybody here except for
I get
Chris.
it. I say Chris.
That's good.
Fair.
I like the first Superman movie.
I don't care.
I know. I understand the point.
So don't fucking sit there and tell me that the disguises of this movie strain credulity when Clark Kent's disguise is I wear glasses.
Lois.
Yeah, but it's written like that from the comic books.
Here's it. I'm guessing Val was having a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I know. Actually, I think.
Too bad nobody else was.
I think the opposite was true. I think Val, even though I said that he kind of like dominated the production, at least in before the first cut, I think he put a lot into it. I think he really wanted to make this special. He really wanted to show his range.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, it shows a lot of effort, but I think
it's wasted.
I appreciate the
it's
effort.
Wasted effort.
It all comes up short. It's literally
his fault, though. I mean,
listen. Actors are supposed to make choices and commit to them, even if it's the wrong choice. And here we have a huge case of the latter.
8 wrong choices.
Multiple times.
Going back
100% commitment to the wrong choice.
100% commitment to the wrong 8 choices or
No,
6.
and we also got an origin story, which we didn't really need.
Yeah, that's
like
really
the
tacky.
worst thing from superhero movies and brought over into this.
Uh-huh.
Also, I remember watching The Saint a few times when it was originally on and just not being impressed with it, but it's probably
The old
because
Simon Templar
Yeah,
TV show.
I watched one episode years after the show had stopped. You know, when it was a relic.
Do you
And
realize
it's
that
like-
the Saints
Yes.
been around since the late 1930s?
Let
it's-
him talk, Scott.
Sorry.
It's not. It wasn't anything that made me want to watch another episode.
There you
Let's
go.
put it that way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like revisiting Man from U.N.C.L.E. now, and it's just like, ooh.
Yeah, but you know
Well,
what?
and Man from U.N.C.L.E., I didn't realize as a kid it's pretty much a parody.
Yeah, it's silly.
It's silly.
The Saint is supposed to be taken a little more seriously, I think.
But the Saint is almost as old, or a little older perhaps, than Perry Mason.
Okay.
It's his old
First
the
novel
Saint-
from 1928.
Oh, yeah.
Is it from?
Right, the
Is it
Saint-
before
the Saint
Secret
is his
Agent or
old-
after?
What's it?
Secret Agent.
Secret Agent.
We talking about the Saint?
Secret
McGowan.
Agent Man.
Oh no, so that
yeah, Secret Agent.
the Prisoner was basically a logical sequel to forgot what it was.
Yeah.
The Secret Agent.
Secret Agent, yeah.
The
So
Saint,
it's like
the Saint is contemporary to the Shadow.
exactly.
Like-
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like that's
Who knows
how
what evil
far
lies in
back.
the hearts of men? Kind of.
I
thing.
was talking about the books, John.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Anyway,
But also RKO made several movies
There
in
were
the
movies.
40s
I'd
and
like to see them.
50s
Mm.
Yeah,
that
something else to
that
say. He's
are the
about
first
to
appearance
toast
of the Saint character on film.
Right.
And then they made the TV show,
We get the sauce
and then they made
form.
this.
If you want to wait, I can
Right.
make
One
it
of the
with
things one of the things that I was thinking a lot about when I was rewatching
you
this
can heat up
is
something, there's
this is something
cheese.
that I think is rife to be redone. Like I think that an HBO or an AMC or somebody
Right,
like
a
that,
series.
right, could
Right.
absolutely loop back around right now and make this character really interesting, the way they did for Perry Mason with
Oh, God.
that HBO Perry Mason
Did you see
show.
that? Did you see any of those?
Yeah.
They're so good. I
The
mean,
way they did for Monsieur Spade.
yeah.
Like you could absolutely get some A-list actor who wants to cash a bunch of TV checks
Mhm.
to play this character and even do the disguises and the voices and
That's
stuff
right.
like
What is
that.
this character's reason for being? I guess. What is the thing that differentiates? Why do I like? What is
Oh.
the same thing?
The
Oh,
disguises?
He's a thief.
He's a
Bull
thief,
Buck
yeah.
Drummond.
Oh, he's a thief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Also,
it's a Lupin. He's a Lupin.
Also, Dan complained that the fact that the line "My name is Templar," Simon Templar, was a big thing in the radio shows and the movies, and they stole it from the James Bond movies.
Ah,
Ah.
I mean, James Bond films borrowed a lot from The Saint in terms of this kind of thing.
Well,
Although Ian Fleming was doing his own thing, in terms of that kind of thing. But
I'm sure Fleming read a bunch of the Saints and other ones.
Well, Roger Moore got the job
Yeah.
because he was the Saint. It's like, okay, well, you already know the
Pierce
spy
Brosnan
thing.
was
Yeah.
the original choice to play the Saint in the movie
Right. Oh,
when
yeah,
they were
that's right.
trying to make this in the late 80s.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
No, it's-
there is
it's
so
a-
much DNA back and forth between Bond and
The Saint.
the Saint.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I picked this.
Right.
Is I picked this because we just did
It's kind of an
James
answer
Bond.
video.
right.
right.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
can see that.
like the way that Chris is complaining about this is the way I feel about James Bond.
Interesting.
Like,
So you guys are parallel.
I just don't feel the way about this that he feels about James Bond.
What? Here's a question though. Remember that I think Air Force One came out like 2 years before this, 95.
That sounds right.
It's equally.
No.
It's a
97 or
97. The thing is, those films you can put the Saint up against Air Force One, and they're both really silly in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but Air Force One is fun and enjoyable, and this is
Yeah,
Well,
but you
why-
also have-
what's the
you
difference?
also
What's the
have Under
difference?
Siege and Executive Decision and all
Yeah, that kind of thing. The Line of Fire kind
Air,
of thing.
Air Force One and those movies have like narrative drive. We don't really care about Simon Templar and what he's doing ever.
Especially not about fucking cold fusion.
Oh, that was
That
right.
has not aged well.
That was big.
Well,
back
it
then.
has not aged well.
Hold on. You say it hasn't aged well. Again, they specifically call out at the beginning of the movie that the most famous cold fusion thing ever done prior to this was a fraud.
Right.
They're this is speculative fiction.
Mhm.
They're postulating a world in which this can exist.
Right.
And one of the things that I disagree with Jared saying that Elizabeth Shue's not a particularly good actress is I think she is able to do that sort of Star Trek fake science speak really well. The couple of times she gets to do it in this movie. Like she does not in any way trip over those words in that. And she looks really like she understands what she's saying. And so much of that kind of performance in sci-fi is looking like you believe what you're saying.
Yeah. Like Dr. Marcus from the Star Trek movies. Yeah, it looks like going, but not Dr. Christmas Jones from that Bond film.
Oh, that's one of the worst.
Yeah.
One of the absolute fucking worst.
Dad, I have a simple question for you. Mm-hmm. Do you like this movie?
I do. I don't love it. It's not something I'm going to put up on a pedestal and say, you know, this is a great movie. I feel like the complaints that you guys are bringing up are a little too nitpicky for what this movie is trying to be. And two, I think this movie is just kind of fun. Like it's light. I mean, this is end of history shit. So the world was different in 1997.
Completely.
But one of the things that I think is very interesting about this movie is who's the bad guy in this movie. The bad guy in this movie is a former Soviet bureaucrat who has become an oligarch.
That's right.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
This movie is way more relevant today.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all.
Although the idea about him hiding all the fuel oil in Russia under his house.
Oh boy, that was dumb.
That was dumb.
Only got to be wrong once.
I even think like this movie is hard to follow when it's the stupidest movie I've ever seen. I don't understand why it's so hard to follow because it's so dumb. I don't get it. Like,
I don't think it's that. I just think it's really
how's it hard to follow? It's a very simple.
Or maybe it's
wait a minute.
Maybe
Jim, it's really it's not just that. It's ...
No, I didn't find any of it hard to follow. My problem with this movie, because I totally agree with you, Tad. Like this movie is meant to be fun and light, and like
it's of its time, man.
It's not fun.
Got two extremely charismatic people.
I agree, Jim.
Really charismatic, like Val Kilmer was fucking he was charismatic. My struggle with this movie was it seemed a little schizophrenic, like it wasn't quite sure what it was trying to be.
Yeah, and I think that is partially because of the studio interference.
Sure,
and the studio interference in this movie shines way more today than it did back when it came out.
Phillip Noyce has made some really good movies. I mean, Dead Calm is really fucking good. He made two really good Jack Ryan movies.
Yeah, The Clear and Present Danger.
Like all the elements were here to make something great. For whatever reason, it was overcooked or what. It's a lot of people being chased, and not totally fair because it was like 10 years later. But when you think about like the Bourne Identity, I mean, granted, it's based on a pretty solid IP.
The Bourne Identity, the Bourne movies are taking this idea and just going ham with it.
Yeah,
like just turn that dial up to 100.
Yes.
Weirdly enough, there's definitely a through line between this and that. Definitely, you can see it.
Those movies.
You can imagine somebody like Greengrass watching this movie and being like, "I can do this better."
But this is trying to be light entertainment, and those movies want you in a those are white knuckle kind of movies, and this isn't that.
And that's why I'm saying that I think this is completely ripe to be remade. Is you give this the Bourne Identity treatment,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the main character didn't have any stakes. He was good at everything. He succeeded mostly. Everything he did. And so after a while, it got kind of dull. It's like, all right, he's winning again.
I was never invested. I was just watching it, going, okay, this is a choice. Just watching him put on these different outfits and costumes,
which is fun if you're like watching like a fashion show. But it's like
Inspector Gadget does it better.
Oh, nice. He brings up he throws down Inspector Gadget on this shit. That's right.
I want to bring up one more thing real quick that I like about this movie. I like the music in this movie a lot.
Oh, dude! Actually, yes.
I think the music in this movie are really good.
Yes, they are.
The music in this movie is really good, and I will always have a soft spot in my heart for this movie because this is the first time I just remembered this when I was rewatching it. This movie is the first time I ever heard the Sneaker Pimps when they play Six Underground in the love scene with the two of them.
That was great.
Is the first time that song stuck in my head immediately.
But what's the bad rave music when the guys are driving around all the time?
Remain one of my all-time favorite bands.
That's great.
So I have this movie to thank for my love of the Sneaker Pimps.
I particularly thought the music was trash. It was like early rave 90s garbage. The bad guys are running around with their guns and the long black hair. And,
okay. I mean, that is definitely dates it to a specific time period, and I'm not going to condemn it for that.
And there.
And I loved some of the needle drops myself. What I objected to was the pansy-assed, half-assed way that they would play the needle drop, and then they would bring the score in and play both at the same time because they couldn't decide. Do we want them to hear the song or do we want some strings here?
We can't decide.
And they fucking didn't make a choice. They just played them both.
In other words, is this orchestral or is this a jukebox film? And they went, let's do both.
Yeah, they did both. They did not choose.
That's funny. All right.
Yeah, I don't know who did the score for this.
It's like a remix would have this.
Yeah,
this movie.
So okay.
Come in.
Anything else?
Like all the elements were there. A-list actor at the top of his game. I think I don't know. It's a miss for me. It's a misfire. It wasn't a waste of time.
No.
Yeah.
It was of its time. I realized that one of the things about watching this is 1997, they were throwing movies at you 5 a week. And this is just one of them. It's like, we didn't know how good we had it back then.
This is around the same time they did a reboot, a movie of the Avengers, didn't they? With Ray Fiennes?
Also, I think Titanic came out near the same time.
Later,
we were getting way too much good film, or at least popular film back then. And so it was good. Oh, Jim needs a corner.
I was sort of just bored with it for the first half, and then I sort of got interested in it in spite of myself. I was annoyed with all the things that people have mentioned, the disguises, the pointless sort of disguises, and the whole origin story thing. They could have followed that, I think, if they'd kept going when he becomes, like a pubescent teenager. It probably would have been better.
Yeah.
I also like how the British I don't know if they're supposed to be MI5 or whatever people who keep popping up in the film.
Right.
Both of them are in a billion other things playing British cops.
That's right.
Like those two actors,
like Alan Armstrong
if you watch any British television, you will see those people playing cops, secret agents, middle managers.
The guy at the very end who sits next to him in the glasses has been in a million things. Okay, let me just remind Scott. I'm gonna pick up on Scott. This is how spoiled we were in 1997. Jackie Brown, Panic, Starship Troopers, Gattaca, Event Horizon, Men in Black.
Gattaca, now that's a good sci-fi movie.
I mean, we're just
On Air, Fifth Element, Lost Highway.
Oh no, dude, we were just like it's washing over us. This is just part of it, and it's so that's the thing that makes me nostalgic about this film is not how it was made. It's just it's what it represents. It represents the time of amazing Hollywood abundance.
It represents a time when Robert Evans could get $35 million and just go film in Oxford and go film in Moscow and just make this movie.
I know.
Probably my favorite part.
Probably spent a quarter probably spent a quarter of the film's budget on coke.
Probably,
Like-
probably.
I was gonna say,
And the
it
film
was
still came out
a
looking
time for
gorgeous. And the film looks
cocaine.
gorgeous. So he did obviously the work was
I will say
good.
the film looked really good.
It
looks
does.
good.
It looks really pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But
also
that ending, man.
also,
That
Jim, you can't object to the Russian thing, right? I think it's
No,
the
no,
best. Uh-huh.
that
All right,
whole
here
ending where
walk
he's
through
up on
some
the
of those
stage. He's up on the stage, ready to, condemn the president of Russia and basically assume command of the
Yeah.
country.
It
And
works.
then they flip it on him, and the whole crowd is all of a sudden, who've never heard a word about this cold fusion thing, very moment, suddenly look at a light bulb and go, "Oh, we're with this guy. We're not with this guy.
It
Yay!"
isn't just the
Tesla
light
Hey, maybe that's how Russian
Yeah.
politics works. We don't know.
It isn't just the light bulb explodes, and then the thing itself is casting this beam into the
That's
heavens
right. That's
that
right.
illuminates
At
the
that
entire
point, they
scene.
could-
Well, but
At
that's
the
how I
end-
choose my leader.
It was.
And
It was.
when,
Hey, it was almost.
that's when the
mystical,
Avengers
Garrett.
had to show up and fight whoever's coming down from
All
the
right.
sky beam.
All right, that's it. I'm calling for thumbs.
It's a no-brainer, dude. This is one of the worst movies.
This
This is
Sorry,
not
no.
one of the worst movies.
No,
Shut
it's
up.
not one of the worst
Way
movies I've ever
worse
seen,
movies than
but
this.
but
That's not.
I don't know.
I've
it has some
seen
serious
this
flaws.
on this channel.